Hello, hello, hello. This is Adrienne of the Capricorn Tigress of Astrology Look Inside, and I'm so excited because I have two guests with me today. Two guests, count them two. I've got Holly Hughes and Tina Bakehouse with me, and we're going to discuss a multitude of things. Holly is an intuitive healer and an award-winning author and public speaker. And Tina is, she is the chief communicator and founder of TinaBakehouse.com. And we're going to be talking to them today. And I think anyone who tunes in with us live as we talk to these two powerhouse women who are spiritual entrepreneurs. So we're going to get that going, and much love. Many blessings to all. Okay, much love. So the first thing I wanted to do is give you guys an opportunity to introduce yourselves. Okay, so I'm going to do an alphabetical order since I have two of you. So we'll start with Holly Hughes.
Wait, Bakehouse. Bakehouse is first. Bakehouse. No, I'm kidding. It's all good. And my
Bakehouse. I forgot.
Right.
Bakehouse.
But my maiden name started with a B, and I had like an old junior high panic attack. I was like, I was always in the front. I was always in the front. I always wanted to be in the back of the row, but no, it never happened.
Okay. That's right. We've got to give it to Tina Bakehouse because she's right. B begins before H.
So well, I'll be happy to go first. I love that. I love that your Michelle, what your maiden name began with B. That's very cool universe joke right there. Yeah. I love it. I'm Tina B, founder and chief communicator of Tina B LLC, a public speaking and storytelling coaching company. I protect audiences from boring speeches. So I love to help professionals craft content and perfect their performance in a meaningful way, authentically. And currently I live here at Maple Edge Farm in Southwest Iowa. And I do workshops with team building in this old 1880s house. I've done some storytelling. It has beautiful energy. We also have goats. So I'm looking forward to teaching communication, temperament, creativity, all things of ways to get within our authentic speaker style using goats, using the space of nature, and using this beautiful over 150-year-old home that my son's the sixth generation to live on. And I'm excited. I've got to work with and collaborate with a wide range of interesting artists from New York, Canada, and I'm looking forward to sharing information and helping people just find the story within and know that they have a voice and worthy of speaking.
Oh, I mean, first of all, Nubian goats, or what kind of goat? Because
I love that you know breeds of goats. That's amazing.
Please don't even I'm all about the goat. I'm not allowed to have any, even though I live in a pretty rural spot. We have our people across the street have horses and a donkey, and you hear Jake the donkey often, and they really hee-haw. But there's really nothing better than a cute goat.
That's absolutely right. We just had 2 sets of twins born within the last 48 hours, and we just bottle fed one of the twins named Deanne. So we have a pygmy, we have a blend of boar and Nubian. And so we're looking at probably another 12 babies that we're potentially going to have at least. So
are you doing the goat yoga during all of this? Because I'm also there for that. I've done it. It's hysterically funny, a little bizarre, but still fun.
Well, I'm open to it. I have a friend that would really love to come out and do it. So I'm like, well, game on. I put them on my back. They love to jump up.
Yes.
They love to snuggle with them. I think what's really cool too, there's a lot to learn from goats in terms of they are really, really wicked smart animals. They communicate really interestingly. Lots of human-like situations there in terms of, I love just running up and hugging them. And during the pandemic, I was hugging them incessantly. But what I realized is now I'm more of a goat whisperer and they come to me. I don't throw myself desperately at them as much. And so it's kind of like that person that puts on way too much cologne or breaks into people's bubbles that, you just have to read the person, read the space and energy.
You make me want to scroll through my phone because I know I'm jumping ahead. I have this picture because I met this baby goat. It was a black Nubian, and my daughter is all about chickens. So she was like being a chicken whisperer. And
we
then
have chickens too.
We were just meant to meet. And this goat just came up to me and started kissing my nose. And I was like, I'm in love with this goat. So yes, I love goats. My whole thing is authenticity, and I'm all about storytelling as well. So I don't know if it's divine magic here or not, but I'm going to say so. So I'm an intuitive healer and author. My big thing is I love helping people be real. A lot of people tend to tell me that I'm brave because I'm actually me. Right. So when I'm sharing story, when I'm working with clients and helping them heal, I like to say through transitional periods, or when they know that what they know isn't working, but they don't know how to stop doing it. That's when I come in and help, like energetically, spiritually, whichever way, the woo woo you want, like whatever words work for you. I help just shift that. Right. So like what but you can't stop doing it. There's something that we can heal that will help you stop doing that, right? Absolutely. Most of the time you have to feel that thing that you're running away from, right? And I promise, no matter how big the feeling is, you can get through it because running isn't working. But I'm all about storytelling. I love writing. I write fiction and nonfiction, and I love helping people express as well. So this is awesome.
This is magical. I love it because I teach get out of your conditioned self and be that authentic self and show up and don't be shushed. Be who you are. So I love that.
Don't be shushed.
Oh my gosh, so I love you both.
Right? Don't be shushed.
I love this.
I'm like, please don't put me in a box. Like if you give me a box, I'm going to smash it and literally dance on top of it. That's just like who I am. I just can't. I can't. I like ticking off boxes. I don't mind to-do lists. I'm very driven human being, and there are things you have to do. But if you put me in that box, it will not be pleasant.
I would rollerblade all over that. I still, 45 years old, I still rollerblade. I'm a rock and rollerblader, and I rooftop chat on my high rooftop and tell stories, people, places, and possibilities. So I love it. Do not put us in boxes. We are three women full of heart and soul, and share it, with each other. I love it.
Oh, the universe brought you both to me. Thank you.
I don't know. I think Adrienne, it's just your heart that just comes through, right? Like you're this connector. Maybe you don't even know it, but I think that is just like one of your gifts for sure.
It's so hilarious. I put up the thing for the podcast because you guys, truly, I know not what I do. I do not.
Divine intervention.
Fun, and that's my whole purpose in life. And so I got all of you wonderful, beautiful ladies who, volunteered to come and talk with me and chat with me today. And so I realized it was too many. So I made it so I could tier people together in groups like them. And then I made it so that it was more than one. And so there's 4 different meetings today. And this is the second of the 4. And I'm having so much fun. And I'm so glad I did that. And when you said I'm a connector, I'm thinking, maybe I am. I didn't even know.
Yes, for sure. For sure.
Yeah, that's amazing. So Holly, I'm interested right away. And then first of all, I don't even know where to go first because Tina, I'm a double Capricorn, the goat. Yes, Capricorn with Capricorn rising. So it's a goat.
Aquarius, Cancer rising.
We need to name a goat Adrienne. That's what's going to happen.
Sure. Yeah, I'm a cuspy girl. I'm Aquarian cusp. I'm a 21st.
I asked you if you were Aquarius. I can't believe you just said that. That was my next thing to do is ask you if you were an Aquarius. I knew it.
Yeah,
got
but
Aquarius in the
want to
first
hear the
house,
thing
too.
even crazier? This is the crazy thing about Aquarius, because I don't know as much as you about astrology, but I like it. So I'm an Aquarius with a Cancer rising. How cruel is that? My moon is in Pisces. Let's just like, can we just be more emotional as a kind of weirdo? Like not weird.
Oh, that's
I don't like
so
that word. As
sweet.
like just like emotion overwhelms me. And then my entire chart is in opposition between home and career,
Oh my God.
except for my fourth house where my Mars is in Scorpio.
Oh my
That's all I have to
gosh, what
say.
is Mars
I
doing
love
in the
it.
fourth house?
And right?
And then the crazy thing is our charts are opposite. I've got Taurus in the fourth, Scorpio in the 10th. See, we were all meant to come here today.
I love it.
I know. Isn't that funny? Hilarious. And I knew, you know how I knew she was an Aquarius? Because she said my battle cry. I have Aquarius in the first house.
Oh,
Don't box me in. Don't, let me, the freedom thing, right? To be yourself, be authentic.
Mhm.
And I know it's a battle cry that a lot of people have now, but how many people are authentically doing it? I mean, put foot in mouth and still do it anyway. I do that, but not everyone does. And they look at you weird when you do because they're like, what's she doing?
there's so much judgment in the world right now, right? There's like, if you misspeak or if you say something and you make a mistake, there's no grace, right? But we're people. We make mistakes, we learn, we grow. That's the whole reason why we're here, right? Like the title of my book is Real, Not Perfect. Right?
I
Like
like
we're
it.
all going to make mistakes and it's okay. And you can hurt someone's feelings or disagree. It doesn't make them the enemy. And in
Well,
this
and
age,
I agree with that. And I also think this year's been messy for me in terms of starting my own business and letting go of perfectionism. I'm a recovering perfectionist and overall achiever, being the oldest child and whatnot. But I love what you were saying there, because I do feel it's giving grace to ourselves, giving grace to others, and allowing ourselves to make those mistakes and to figure things out, whether it's with technology, whether it's gravitating into something new, because I felt this shift in this universe like the last while. It's just, it's constant, right? And a friend and I have talked about that there is this big change going on. And my husband feels it too. He's a full-time farmer and soil health is at his passion. His mantra is it's all about the soil. And he's like, I have to continue to change the world and how they understand the need to take care of our soil. And so we are feeling this big change.
Oh
I
yeah.
I
My
love
daughter cries about climate change, like, because her fear is that there's not going to be a world for her and her.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah,
you know, they're saying we
but
have what,
should it go
25
that
years.
far or is it better to give people hope? If you change one habit in your life, and right, one habit in your life and you do some goodness for like a person, the earth. I really like gardening too. I mean, like I like a lot of things. So, but I'm just like, sticking your hands in the dirt, like what happens. But I think making it an impossible, huge thing that's you can't even touch when everyone's like, it's climate change. It's too big of a brush. Take your power back. Take your power back. Be real. Have honest conversations, and you can affect change if you do something nice for one person. It changes things. Like, that random student, I used to cry in public a lot when I was younger because I felt safer there, right? Like, who's going to stop? And like people would, and be like so kind, right? And it's not something I would do now. I'm a grown woman, but like it was a thing for me to do. And those tiny acts of kindness, those are the things that you carry. And then that shapes the world, not the fear and pain that is like being flashed at us all the time. It's too much trauma. We're on trauma overload. Makes me
Absolutely. And that's where we have to love our soil, love our animals. I mean, we're all here at Maple Edge Farm about compassion to animals, giving them the best life that we can give the soil the best health and nutrition, and building off of that and sharing that with people and connecting people and co-creating communication, not sell, tell, yell, but sharing the communication.
Oh, that was your thing right
Yes.
there.
Yes. Well, and the biggest thing is we have shifted from hope to an environmental change and helping people with effective communication to getting to that belief and then going into knowing that we can make positive impacts, whether it's with climate change, whether it's with changing and shifting our mindset. You know, for the first time in my life, I know I'm doing my own business. For 10 years, I've done this as a side hustle. And my mindset was like, I hope this works. You know, and I dipped my toe in and jumped out of a plane figuratively a couple of times, but always went to a full-time job just to ensure myself. Then I got into the belief cycle. And now I know that I'm called, the universe is called for this passion piece to connect others. And so I absolutely believe what you're saying too, in terms of trauma, that we are in a hard trauma place. It's about grace to each other and ourselves.
Yeah. Remember, we're the humanity of it all, right? Like it's about like our humanity, and there's frailty in that. Like I find it fascinating dichotomy that everyone loves Brene Brown's vulnerability talk, and then they can't give it. They can't give it to themselves or others. There's like too many. I've been saying this a lot lately. I think the American dream needs to shift, right? Like, who says overachieving is going to bring you happiness? I know I have a lot of people that I know that have plenty and are unhappy. Stuff will never fill you up. Never. It's never going to satisfy that thing. Having some joy, honest to goodness joy in your life it'll help you get through the harder times. Now, we're not all lucky enough to make a career and a living out of what brings us joy. But as adults, you also really need to remember that everything you do does not have to result in a product. Right? Like, so for me, when I always talk about self-care, because that's a big word with everybody, what I mean is how does that bring you joy? What makes you forget time? What makes you keep your phone down? Right? For me, is dancing. You put a song on, I'm dancing every Thursday night before. I've studied African dance forever. That's my thing. That's my community. You get the dun 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 dun. Those, right? That's it. I'm done. I'm there. And I'm not the best in the room, obviously. And, you know, like there's I always want to do my best and get better, but it is just about the joy. It's about my friendships that I've made there. It's about getting to know my community differently. And that is what joy is. And then that makes the rest of the week and those days when you see people who just hurt your feelings, or you're in your feeling, whatever it is, or it's rough, health, whatever, life, when life comes at you, you know that you still have this thing that just makes you happy. Yeah.
Beautiful. I gotta interject something. I'm the lady that lost 300 pounds from dancing. I was 500 pounds in a wheelchair for 7 years.
What?
And one day a song came on that I liked, and I have been dancing with Korean music for a while, K-pop. And I thought, I can stand, I can do it. And the first time I stood, I was 45 seconds. The next time it was a little more and a little more. And it's been 7 years now.
I think that's beautiful.
That is beautiful.
Oh my God, do you watch K-dramas too? Because we could talk about that if you want to.
I love Korea.
We might have to wait till later. That's what's gotten me through the last 4 months of the thing. And I wish I could usually learn language, but because of the honorifics, it's very hard.
It is really hard. I've been working at it for a while, but you know, I can do the normal ajama, or you know.
Ho ho.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can say I love you too, or I just say it.
Yeah.
Why must everyone die in their shows? Everyone dies.
We have a joke in our family. We call it Korean crying. I don't know if you've ever seen a Korean drama. I'm so sorry, I digress so bad. But there's this thing, we call it Korean crying. So my daughter might walk in, she's like, oh, Mom, is there Korean crying going on again? Because there's always someone that breaks out in the horrible tears.
Yeah, my husband is like, what is with that? I'm like, they just let it out, man. I like it. I really like that they cry. I don't like that in the dramas I get depressed and then I can't turn it off and things happen slow. And I also don't like in, I forget the name of the one. It was like a mob one. And there was one, My Country, where everyone you love dies. They're like, no, we're going to kill. Like, you think anyone's surviving this show? Do you think you're going to get that light at the end of the tunnel? Heck no, Holly, you're not getting that. We're going to kill everybody.
Korean dramas, they're the only dramas that you know the lead most likely will die before you get to the end of the day.
Love it.
It's hilarious.
And that's my
A
latest
hyperbole
joy.
in and of itself.
Seriously, just can't hold on to the ending, man. Just don't know.
It's always a treat though when they all make it. That's like,
Yeah.
you're like, hilarious. I wanted to just ask about the goats. I have to ask about the goats because I'm a Capricorn. So tell me a little bit about the little goats and what she had asked too about the goat yoga. That's really big.
Ooh.
Have you actually thought about doing something like that? Because that's like a dream of mine to do the goat yoga.
Well, I love it. So with our goats, the reason we actually got goats on our farm is for grazing purposes to add to the nutrition of the soil. So my husband moves gate about every 2 days so they don't overgraze. And so that was the original purpose for them. And they've done a beautiful job of not having to use pesticides or herbicides, but using goats to be lawnmowers, natural lawnmowers. And they eat those noxious weeds and they go through there. But with our goats, what has been really incredible to see is just how they communicate and how they talk to you with their bodies, but also with their voices if they want you to draw in and connect with you. And in terms of goat yoga, I do have a friend that's really wanting to do it. And I thought, why not? I've tried it a little bit. The key is that you do it with little babies. And we have 4 right now that are just fresh and little and super, super cute. They are so chewy. I mean that in the most affectionate way that you just can't stop holding them. And my son is named, one Grover, one Magnus after Magnus Chase. I mean, he has Athena, like he has all these gods and loves to Greek gods, various creative names. But when it comes to the yoga piece is they tune into your energy. And I think that that's the important piece is what kind of energy or poise do you bring to the table? And that's the communication aspect that I want people to tune into is, are you throwing yourself into a situation? Are you showing up, allowing the space to be, because poise is a verb. You can work on your vocal delivery, your physical delivery, and be coached to do that and be that confident. But presence is a state of being. It's a noun. It's how do you actually stand, be, and feel, and how the actual people tune into that. And I feel like goats have really taught me a lot through the pandemic. And so when you get on your hands and knees, when it comes to goat yoga, they love jumping. I mean, we literally they jump on things, right? So if you stand there, they've been jumping on top of their moms. Like we got a picture once of them landing all 4s on mom, and mom's like, what is going on here? I love it. Is that your Nubian?
My cute little goatee.
I love it. I love it.
Being rude, but I was like, oh my God, kisses.
So
Yes. Oh, that's great.
So scrub. I do goat yoga with only a few babies, but mostly the adults. And you just have to let the participants know they won't jump on you. But they also put like snack pellets near people. But then I think some people didn't realize that they're, animals and they will release anything that needs to be released. And you should just be prepared for that to be on you and around you.
And they're little pellets generally. Yes.
Yeah.
And it's,
totally.
yes. So I think a lot of it is just being open to going with the flow. And I think that that's a mindset, right? Is just not letting go of predictability, letting go of expectation, and just being fully present and in the moment. And yes, anding it.
So
I
fun.
love that. I love that. Animals will get us in touch with that part of ourselves, don't they?
They truly do.
Yeah. I feel so disconnected. I know I was led to both Tina, you, and Holly. I know it. I feel it instinctively because that's the part of myself that I know I need to heal. Going outside, getting in touch with the earth, getting in touch with animals. I got a little grand dog, but that's it. And I live in an apartment in the middle of Seattle, city, and it sounds like heaven what you're talking about.
Well, I am lucky that we're in the slice of life here in Southwest Iowa where there's a big sandbar and a river flowing, so we could hang out there. We have 2 ponds. We have ducks, free range chickens, cows, goats, a dog, a couple cats. So we are a full range farm and 6 generations. So it's over 150 years old, but it's that green space and nature and magnolia trees that are blossoming, tulips, all things, and gardens, and getting your hands in the soil and being able to eat food that's close to the land. It really is nourishing your mind, body, and soul.
Oh, that's
yeah. Like fresh strawberries. We're growing strawberries right now and they're just coming out like 2 at a time. Like we fight who's going to eat. Like we can't even wait to get enough there because they taste like strawberries.
oh yeah.
they like store ones, they're just not the same.
They don't
I
taste
lived in
the same.
California for 18 years. So when I moved to the South, it was kind of a little culture shock because I was so used to living where the food was grown, right? The Central Valley, it's all there and everything's much fresher. And so I was like, the South, they grow a lot here. No, they don't really. Like it's not the same. So that was like an interesting shift. My husband's new hobby is gardening, and he started with seeds under a grow light. He was like all about actually like working it. We've got it all, and I'm just like, I garden, but I'm gonna let you do it your way because it's your thing. You just do
It
it
sounds like
your
he's
way.
dedicated. I've made some lemon trees, and I'm so
Mm.
proud of myself. I took them from seeds, just from an idea, and
Love
I'm
it.
my little lemon tree.
Oh my goodness. And in Seattle, it gets plenty of rain. So are you getting an artificial light to sort of help with the sunlight?
Yeah, I do, and I have a big bay window. I have them at the bay window, so they're doing really good. I wish I lived where I used to live, where I could plant them outside, but I know that you can have indoor lemon trees. I've seen them grow. I just wish I did have that space. My daughter and my son-in-law, they have a space. They made a bay leaf tree, and it must be 6 feet tall already. So it's amazing.
Wow. You can always do those cool hydroponic things too if you're in an apartment. They work really well. I just think there's something about like touching, right? That whole, I'm with you on that. It's very tactile, and that's super healing.
Oh yeah.
Well, and I like, Holly, that you brought up that gardening is your own way and style, sort of like everybody has their own way of making chili. There's 5 billion different recipes right out there. So in terms of, we plant potatoes, and there's recommendations, right? You have to do the trench a certain way and certain depth and certain space. But how are you going to weed it all the time? Like, we decided to mulch it. And then because we have chickens, the next day they were all popped up and they went crazy, right? They were like, yay, new food. So we had to put chicken wire and more mulch and replant, to really make it an obstacle. Now they're like, oh man, you can tell they're irritated at us, like really trying to figure out this new obstacle course. But you're right in terms of strategically, what do you plant? And that's linked to your personality. Are you only flowers? Are you food? Are you blend? What kinds of things? And then how do you do it? Do you indoors, outdoors, based on environment also? But what does it look like? Is it going to be aesthetically beautiful, like around a play yard with benches and things like that? Or is it just functionality, or somewhere in between?
Somewhere in between. I'm like about the flat. I have a thing about irises. And I love how irises, once they bloom and they have all their pods and you let them go, you can just have like, it just keeps going. It just keeps going. All right. So what kind of potato? Little red ones, russets, sweets? What potato are you cooking?
Yeah, more like the russets. Yeah, they're easy to grow around here in Iowa. And we're Iowa, not Idaho. A lot of people get that mixed up. We're in the Midwest and we're not Ohio. But
it's a totally different place.
It's funny. We do begin with I and end in a wa. No.
That's a big one. So I knew someone back in the day. I dated a guy from Idaho, and he said, "Yeah, we're known as the gem state." And I couldn't date him anymore after that.
Like, I'm gonna get a diamond too soon. No.
He's like, "Yeah, we're known as the gem state." I'm like, "You're known as the potato. What are you talking about? Idaho potato." He's like, "No, we're like emeralds." I'm like, "No, I can't." No.
So potatoes are their emeralds, apparently.
Obviously.
They're jewels.
Obviously, I just needed to give it enough pressure, carbon pressure, just be a rock, just be like, yeah, have a potato. It's all good. It's all
nice.
Oh my gosh.
I love that Adrian's laughing. This is good.
I know. I'm looking here just to see a little bit about what you do. I see here, Holly, it says that you love seeing people transform and heal.
Yeah.
What you do, and that it's one of the things you're most proud of.
It really is.
An example of that?
I think, like the short answer is when people come in a heightened state of like an emotion, a pain, or being stuck, right? And they're vulnerable in the process. So a session with me is typically an hour, and about 40 minutes of that is a conversation. And while people talk, I have all the clairs. So I'm clairvoyant, clairaudient, blah, blah. So I see, hear, and feel everything. I'm an empath. I call to like source interdimensional beings, because depending on what your religious background is, what I see, it's not linked to that, right? So I've run into Mary Magdalene or Kali, or like, and I think it's nutters too sometimes, but it's a beautiful gift in my life. And so I connect to that and feel that healing. And then because I can sometimes articulate the feeling that they don't have words for, we can heal it. And then I have a table, it's like a massage table. And then I literally do energy work, which is very much a personalized guided meditation. And then I'll walk around your body, like with my hands out, like it's similar to Reiki, but I don't need the symbols. And I will physically move the energy. I'll cut cords, I'll clear chakras. Sometimes chakras, like if someone's heart has been hurt, it's not even moving. And I really love to start with a pinpoint of light. And really what that is a little piece of unconditional, universal, God, whatever source word that you need. For me, it's God, just a dot of light so that you can feel that love again. And then after that work, they almost always sit up and look at me like they've had the best night of sleep. They're like, how did you do that? And I was like, I'm a channel. It's not my thing. I just get to share it. I don't really like claim credit for that magic. I actually make people sign a waiver, pretty much saying that I'm not magic, right? Because sometimes people get mad that I can't magically, I don't know, make things disappear. I just, if I knew the lottery numbers, I would have picked them, but that's not how I work. I've helped people exit narcissistic relationships. I've assisted people who were in marriages that none of their friends supported, but they weren't done. So if you're not done, let's do the work. Let's honor what's your relationship, right? Sometimes it works out in the end and sometimes it doesn't. That's not my choice. That's your choice. And however you need to be supported, right? Because so many people will give you their opinion, but what you really need is to be seen and validated. And that I do that. So I'm not a therapist. I like to say I kick in really well, like when a therapist doesn't work or in conjunction, because it's just that little bit of magic. It's just like you, Adrienne, when you're flipping cards and you're getting source, right? I feel dollars to donuts most of the time. You even know what card's about to come out because I think you have that feeling, right? So yeah, that's really like where I come in. I think I'm lucky. I never thought I would be doing this. Come on, I was in film and TV producer, right? Very different life. I always had my gifts. I didn't realize other people didn't. And I had my own wounds and my own stories. And then I had to really heal that. I went through a lot in my life that is way darker than probably you would know unless I told you, because what happened to me didn't define me and hold me back. Right. And I think that's the message too. Like that's part of your storytelling, right? Like you have a story because you went through something, a person you met, and you're going to help them share it with the world. So it doesn't have to limit them. That is just heartbreaking. And then I was on a walk one day and I was like, I'm supposed to write a book about it. Okay. And then I was working with I have an agent and she's like, can you write it like this? And I said, yes. But the truth was it wasn't meant to be written the way that was. And I had how do I please to fit in? How do I get my message to fit in? And that's been a journey for me for 2 years. Whereas if you want to hear my story, I'm going to talk with my hands. Please don't tell me to not raise my eyebrow. I don't have Botox. The face is going to move. Like like if you're hiring me, don't give me notes to not be me, because I'm going to try to meet you. And then my story won't be authentic. And then I won't be who I say I am. I won't do it anymore. Right. Like I really learned that lesson. So that's all the stuff that's in the book. Real, not perfect. Share your story in hopes that you help someone else. And then let's bring that joy and light. Let's just shift the focus. Just like I amaze people because I unplug my phone a lot of times around 8:30, 9:00 at night. And I put it somewhere where I don't walk through. Like I put it in my home office and people are like, I texted you. I'm like, did you? because I don't pick up the phone because if I don't unplug, then I don't stop working.
Oh,
Absolutely.
I know exactly what you
I do the same thing, Holly. I do the same thing. And I love how you are truly authentically you and all those things, because stories really transport our heads into our hearts. And I can tell you're very heart driven.
Oh, thank you. That'll make me cry because I'm a softie. But thank you. Yeah, I think I kept trying to meet people, like, especially for me, corporate America has never been my thing. And there's a way to be, and there's a way you hold yourself, and there's all of that. And then they keep saying, all of these people, that creativity is the most important thing in corporate America. I was like, but you have no no environment for that because you squish it.
Right.
And then you say you value it, but when someone has it around you, you don't know what to do with it. You don't know what box to put it in. And so you just kind of do one of those. I see it over and over. I really believe, like, with this age of Aquarius, what I'm hoping is that entrepreneurship, we're here 3 women being entrepreneurs, right? That the small businesses that have been hurt by the pandemic come back roaring and screaming.
Oh, I love that.
And we hold each other up and we support each other, because my husband, who's a beautiful soul, says, it's pretty crappy if women don't support each other. That's pretty the lowest thing that you can do. And so my big mantra is, how can I help other women shine and shine brightly? And I love being able to connect with 2 beautiful, bright souls that are doing beautiful work to help people be themselves and tap into, Holly, you figured it out. Like, this is my gift and this is how I can be a creative problem solver. And I absolutely agree with you on the creativity side of things. Is I'm a creative problem solver. I've had ag arts camps here at the farm, using the arts to teach where your food comes from, to Ronald McDonald House, so that they can learn by painting pots from soil from our farm, or doing stories or theater games or what have you. And what it is it's figuring out that pain point, that challenge, and then finding our gift that we can help and then give it, because it's all about, people want to be cared for. They need help. And then they build that trust. So if we can care for each other, help one another, and then have that growth of trust, we're going to have that shift, as you mentioned.
I love it. I think it's also about holding value for women as well, right? Like, I love when people are like, I really need your help, but I don't want to pay you. I'm sorry. I value myself for that. Like, especially as a younger writer, right? Everyone's like, well, you need a break, right? I'm like, so I should work for free and then give it to you for pennies, which you do, because you're like, why is it that we value creative things, but when it's successful, it's super high, but like people struggling and starting out, we give them no value. But we should like pay for the things. And so many writers are like about this. And they're like, so you want like Huffington Post used to not pay people. Did you know that? It would make me wild. They wouldn't pay for stories. So they're like, well, you get exposure. Well, you're making millions and millions of dollars, and you're a woman in charge of business, not paying other women. So I also like to because that was a big lesson for me too. This is my value. This is my rate. I feel good about it. I feel like I give you everything I can for that. And that's good. And we should say that about other women. She's good and she's worth it.
Well, and I think it's because we're all creatives, right? And I think what's hard is we provide a service which is very, very abstract. If we have a broken toilet, we can, as plumbers, we have a service that's concrete. It's super easy to say, okay, you have to pay this for the part, this for my time. When you're doing transformation work, Holly, or you, Adrian, there's results and how we get you there, and we try to help that. But people are like, but you're passionate about it. You should just want to do it. Yeah. And I've been told that as a creative artist that's done, workshops for kiddos, like creative dramas and things like that. But I've had 20 plus years of researching, practicing, doing. And yes, I love it. But I also, we want to eat, and we want to be able to clothe our family and things like that too. So I think that that's a super important part. It's also what feeling you attach to money. And that was a really hard one for me, because I'm a softie like y'all. I wear my emotions on my sleeve, and money's very, there's a lot of dirty feelings and thoughts about money. And I had a money script years ago of scarcity. And so even if you're like, hey, I'm going to work towards a 6-figure income, you're not, don't talk about that. That's like a dirty thing to talk about. And so it's getting through that and saying what you're worth and saying, yeah, this is my hourly rate, or for my 3-month signature program, this is what I can offer you to up level whatever skill set.
I've been working that. That has been my most difficult thing, is the money.
Because you're all heart. You're all heart.
I know.
Yes.
I forgot about the money. Like, what about the money?
Yes.
That's what I'm working on now, is manifesting the money. And I know I'm not alone in that. So many empathic people do that. They get into the love of what they're doing, and then they forget the money.
Mm-hmm.
And I know I'm worth what I'm worth. And so I have to charge what I'm worth. So
I think the thing for you, if I can read you for one tiny
go for it.
second, is that you're so giving that for you, the energetic boundary with money is the minute you give it, you share it. And you have to learn how to hold it because you're worth it. And it's about like saying no to other people, because it's a Kabbalistic term. It's called bread of shame, that if you give too much, that people have no value for what you give them. So when you give them those cool sneakers or those amazing clothes because you love them and you think they look good in them, they take it for granted, not to be mean, but they didn't earn it. There's no value. They don't know it took you 6 weeks of doing X, Y, and Z to get it. So for me, I would love for you to, when you earn money, hold it for a month and not even get to give. It's a beautiful thing to give, but I think you need to start just giving to you first.
Absolutely. And it makes me think of when I traveled to Egypt years ago, and there were little children that were begging for money, right? And our travel guide said, you absolutely, we're trying to train them to work for what they're doing because it empowers their culture, empowers them, and it's a skill set. And the most beautiful thing when we went through the small village was they had a pot of water and a ladle and a cup outside of various, homes. And I asked, well, what's this all about? And they said, well, they may not have much, but what they do share is they make sure no one goes thirsty. So they do know that boundary of work for pay, but also we want to make sure that our people aren't thirsty, the physiological need piece. And so it is a healthy, happy balance of finding, the soulful heart of sharing that skill set that you're put on this planet to do.
Yeah.
But also acknowledging that healthy relationship with money too.
Yeah, I think you shouldn't feel guilty for doing well. I think that's the heart part for you, Adrienne, is like there's like that guilt. Well, you're not doing as well, so I'll help. I do. That's what I do. So that's what I do.
That's crazy.
But I say it nice. Yeah, it's just that. It's just because you're all heart.
Oh my gosh. I've even done podcasts pulling cards on it and everything over the last few days, because I grew up in abject poverty. I began, I should say, in poverty. Born in a poorer city on the poorest street. My mother had problems with money. That was my mother's issue. And she died a pauper. We had to bury her in a pauper's grave. Because of whoever I am, I was able to raise my daughter differently. I always raised her in the suburbs, and she's got her 3rd master's degree now, and she's a city commissioner.
Wow.
So she's broken the curse of whatever has happened in our family. And, she's done really well. We close to $1 million already, and it's only May. And so it's changed. And I feel like I'm part of that because I did some sacred soul alignments, and I tried to break the curses and oaths and vows that might have, because I knew we had a money problem. But I'm still dealing with it. Like
you have shame over it. It's just the healing of the shame. My parents both grew up, my father hungry in like the apartment behind the plumbing store that his father was at, and abused and all of that. My mom slept on the sofa in her uncle's basement. They didn't even have a bed. Do you know what I mean? So like it's the mindset. The expectation was you do better in my family. You do better. You do better. My father is a self-made man. Now my thing is like, and when I was 28 and I was working the way he was working, which was really hard, really driven, like just going for it. I was like, I can't be you. I also think like that success came at a price. And so for me, my value, what I want is like different. Yes, I would like to have no debt and all those other things, but like sometimes I think I have to forgive my own relationship with money because it was always a bit of a weapon, an emotional weapon, right? So for me, that's part of my own healing. Like, well, I got to let that one go. For you, you're carrying shame over how you buried someone, but you connect to spirit and the body's gone anyway. Right. And so however you want her and her to be, if you were in a session with me, I would tell you to create the monument you want to give her and then let her have that throne for the woman who did the best that she could with what she knew and how she was taught that gave you the ability to teach your daughter to be so successful. That's beautiful.
Right. And it's like Brene Brown says, what is the story that you tell yourself? Right. It's building off of that is, we perpetuate that story. I mean, all of us have an origin story that we tell ourselves with our businesses and things. And it's really essential. You are that hero when you're on this journey and being able to share those struggles, but work through the struggle and not let the struggle define you, because it's all about working through it and knowing that that you are able to, that you are transforming, and it's thinking about that transformation and how you know that the outcome you can get there, and sort of like what you were just saying, Holly, is envisioning it, seeing the story, and then making your life story happen. I'm saying I'm in Act 3 right now. Act 1 was birth to 18 to about 40-ish was Act 2. I'm in Act 3, making it rock. Act 4 will be retirement.
When does Act 4 start? What is that?
I know.
I'm in 3 as well. I'm in 3, so it's all good.
Wait, we're rocking Act 3, right?
Up to 52, right? Like I like when people are kind of like, yeah, I'm 30 and I'm not this and I'm not that. I'm like, what, you think you die at 50? I'm like, no, you're still full. You're still you. You're still you. You're just a little squishy or someplace.
Well, you're still developing, right? It's your brain's developing in terms of stretching and growing and getting out all those kinks, and figuring out, even for me, I'm figuring out a system. How do I act, look, and feel like a CEO? I bought new underwear. I'm like,
nice.
As CEO needs new underwear. I cannot wear these raggy, saggy Haints way anymore. I need to buy pretty underwear because I'm totally worth it. And then you show up differently and you feel differently and you're rocking it. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. That's like so funny. So one of my Holly's healing tips, I have those like all over and stuff, is like, life's too short to wear uncomfortable bras or be in uncomfortable relationships. That's my thing. I literally just threw out my whole bra drawer. I was like, you know what?
Nice.
Heck.
Yes.
I love it.
That's a goal. And that's, you guys have given me goals. All new undies. That's it.
Right. Rock out some sexy panties, girlfriend. What you waiting on?
Yeah.
It's
I love it.
I'm just thinking about me in the undies as I was getting ready, and the ones I have on are too big. So when she said that, I thought,
so they're and you've got that air bubble, and you're like, "What up with that?"
Yeah, this is what you do. You're gonna peel those things off. You're gonna make a little knot, and you're gonna throw them in the trash like a ball. Gonna boom.
That's hilarious! Oh my gosh, hilarious! You guys, I'm having so much fun with you both. I just wanted to ask Tina this one thing, because I looked at, I asked you guys a couple of questions, and two things I wanted to say. First of all, Tina worked out. She's a former Walt Disney World cast member. I just thought that was great.
Ooh, you worked at Auschwitz. Crazy.
She worked at Disney World. I love it.
I coordinated parades. It was a lot of fun. I made sure that nobody pounced on Cinderella and took care of Mickey Mouse.
I love it. And the other thing I asked what she was most proud about accomplishing in her spiritual based business. And she said, empowering clients to find their story and share their voice, growing a community for women to build their confidence and help them grow into an authentic speaker style. That's a beautiful thing to accomplish. Can you tell me a little bit more about how you do that, Tina?
Right. So as I noted earlier, I'm a big personality, kind of like the two of you, big heart, big personality. I always say, on a spectrum of 0 to 10, I'm a 10 big. I did an I am poem with my son at homeschooling this past year. And I recognized I did the poem myself and came up with, I am kind, I am creative, but I'm enthusiastic, and it just pours out of me, right? But so what I found is, as I've evolved as a professional, a lot of organizations fall in love with me, and then they don't know what to do with my enthusiasm and creativity. It was what Holly was saying earlier, is they love it till they have to transform and do some change. And so I was shushed a bit. And what I found is that I was not my authentic self. I became this conditioned self of, well, I need to please. What is it? Trying to get in that mindset of, okay, maybe I can figure out this game and do this thing and be able to help them and do what they want. So then they're happy. So then I continue to da, 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 da. And it was this crazy game that I was playing that was unhealthy, unhappy, and burnout settled in for a couple of years, evolving from leaving my professor position at a university to working for a nonprofit and, getting burnout, to working as doing community development and education and outreach, to, thank goodness, in some ways, the pandemic, I sat with myself and I was quieted. And I realized for a hot minute that I was not being the theater creative that I'm meant to be, to get out there and share stories, to get out there and share tips and techniques and communication analysis to help people get out there. And as I was growing my business, I've been doing this on the side for 10 years and now on its own since January of 2021. A lot of my clients have come to me with broken insides of realizing that they were struggling because of judgment, of being stuck in their conditioned self, of what worry and what other people were feeling and saying to them. And they were feeling small rather than empowered. And they were, negative thoughts were transforming their day-to-day and how they communicated and how they showed up. And so it was getting into that work of individualizing my 3, 6 month and 12-month program, where I've been teaching this for over 20 years, researching it for over 20 years, writing stuff on it for over 20 years, and doing it. So it's taking what I know, but having that intuitiveness to show that energy and tap into, okay, what kind of speaker are you? How can we bring the best out of you so that you are able to share that passion for that content? Because the first piece is that you have in your control, because a lot of people, uncertainty has freaked them out. And when you get on stage or in a space to speak, it freaks people out. But you can prepare, you can practice, and you can pause. That's all in your control. So the more that you prepare and get in that heart and passion into the topic, the more that you practice it and get out there and speak, just like whether it's on Facebook Lives or, to an audience in person. But when you're feeling nervous in the moment, the power of your breath and pause is a beautiful thing. And so I've been able to, whether it's a scientist, a pastor, or an educator, or even, I have a wide range of even agricultural based clients, whatever their walk of life is, healthcare professionals. It's really exciting for me, when they have this goal to do a TEDx or a moth story or a keynote, or just doing their elevator speech, that they can do it, and they do it with heart, and they do it with clarity, and they get up there and then they connect with their audience. And to me, that is the most empowerment, to see someone else be themselves and to impact the audience, because it's all about audience centeredness. It's about them.
I love that. I'm all about TEDx. That's my big push, right? So I can talk very easily, I'm an expressive introvert. So like I can be totally out here for a few people, and then I really need to be alone. Right. Like I need just to I just need that. I've always been like that. So TEDx to me is being judged on this whole other level in front of a much larger audience, like a lot more eyes. So like my intuitive stuff, I usually like to kind of feel the room and like wiggle, but then there isn't that. It's a different perspective. And that's my next personal goal, honestly, like to overcome my own fear and flop sweat, if I'm completely honest.
There you go. I've done a TEDx and I've coached TEDx speakers, and
now we're going to be done.
Like totally do.
That is it. I feel really judged by that. I already know what I want my topic to be.
That's the start. I mean, and that's where people get tripped up, right? Of where do I start? what do I talk about? But it's an idea we're thinking. What's exciting is on Tuesday, I'm actually going to a TEDx event for one of my clients whom I've coached. And that's just a gratifying feeling, like this person did it. They got their goal reached and I helped them get there. And so I know that everybody has a TEDx talk within them, but you're right. It is this mammoth thing, but you can take it as, you know what? I'm showing up to share this story, this idea. TEDx talks about 65% story, about 5% data. And that's why they really connect with people and they have that stay power is because of story.
And it's also
they bring us into
short.
human.
Yeah. I think like the first time I did a public speaking was a few years ago. And I was told you have to fill the hour. The hour. No, and she's like, no notes.
Oh no.
What? So I had notes and I recorded it, I walked it, I did it for months. Like I did everything I possibly could to like meet that expectation. Then I realized I had my own heap of stuff. And they were like, don't use your hands so much. We don't like any of the slides you like. I'm like, but you didn't even hear my talk. How are you judging like what I'm doing? So that was fascinating. So I think that's part of why I'm afraid of TEDx. I think that's like, that's
I'm challenging you, Holly. I would love to see you. You're going to do a TEDx. I feel it because that's going to be.
Now my boobs are sweating.
You're going to get a new bra. You're going to get new underwear. You're going to do it to a TEDx and you're going to take your own advice and show your clients that I got this. I can do this. And
that's why I say it out loud. Like my dog is joining us. Sorry.
Oh my goodness.
He's been on my lap the whole time. It's my meditation chair. Anytime I'm on it, my animals are like, no, I like people to know that I can help you, but I still have my own stuff too. Right. Like, even though I am me, you like me. I hope you like me. You might not. That's okay. I'm not your cup of tea. That the message I have isn't meant for you, but to still be brave enough in that bigger arena is just, that is my goal, to just get over myself. And like, I know that when I talk about what it is that I want to talk about, I could yammer for hours, which isn't what you need. So it's that coach ability, that learning of, I am so passionate about this. And I don't have to worry about how it connects to you because you're going to feel my passion in the TEDx talk. That's part of like what I've learned actually, even through some podcast interviews I did. I thought I had to do something, but really I just had to show up.
Yeah,
that's it.
That's what it is.
This about the TED Talks. I took a TED Talks training course. And the biggest thing that I picked up, other than them giving us connections, is us learning how to make a talk in 12 to 14 minutes. That's right. That's it. Like,
well, it's hard.
14 minutes. And like the average TED Talks is 13 to 14 minutes. And most of us cannot contain or get that much information in that 10 to 15 minute span. And I realized that's the difficulty.
Well, yeah, it's what you have to pick what's essential, first of all, and the shorter a speech is, the longer you spend on it, because it's easy to be complex, but it's really, really hard to be simple. An expert can sound like a novice if they're disorganized and complex, but a novice can sound like an expert if they are completely organized and simplistic.
And they can say it in 14 minutes.
Yes. Tight. Yes.
Craziness. It's craziness. So I have to ask you this, because you did say that you have been on a TED Talk. How did that go about? How did that all come about for you, that you got to?
For me, I did a TEDx talk in 2018 and actually got asked to apply because people were fascinated with my ag arts concept of, it's a new experience together of bringing people together with the understanding of agriculture and food, and then food is art, and being able to talk about and use the arts to help understand where our food comes from. And imagine a healthy food system, right? And so that's what I talk about, is that my husband actually had a really terrible illness. And it was through our exploration of going grain-free and creating actual menus that were different and unique, and trying out different things that got him off medication he was on for 7 years. And so you are what you eat is a true, it's an aphorism that I think rings true. But it was with this experience, for the first time in my life, I really preach, don't memorize, but TED really pushes you to memorize, because of course you have that 14-ish minutes, right? And so I memorized this talk, And it was a different type of experience in that I wanted to make sure that my head and heart were aligned. And that is the challenge, right? Because when you're told to memorize, you feel like it's very heady. And that doesn't feel good as much to me. I'm very heart-centered when it comes to presenting. Like, I know if I do a workshop or a keynote and I'm told to do about an hour, I do about an hour and my heart feels it and I go with it. And I go within the moment. I know my beats of what I'm going to talk about and how I'm going to start, how I'm going to end. But with TED, they really push for, we want it verbatim. And so that was an interesting experience. But what I found is it was good for me. And the moment I started, it came pouring out of me. And that's where the training comes in, is you train, you practice so that it truly is, yes, it's in your head, but then your heart just pounds out onto stage. And then at the end, when they applaud, you're super relieved and you sit down, you're like, thank goodness I made it. You know, I mean, it was like, yes. And the adrenaline's like, I had a terrible time sleeping that night just because it was like this buildup. It's several months of writing and practicing and rewriting and all of that, but it was totally worth it. And what an opportunity to expand my analysis of self and being authentic when it comes to communicating.
That's beautiful. Congrats.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, that's one of those milestones. I think we all, like a hurdle we all want to jump over, but we're like,
yeah, thinking about it's making me sweat. It's good.
You're pitting out already.
Yeah, I am. That's me. But that on the speech that I gave in front of a couple hundred people, I got to the place and my shirt split right down the seam.
Oh my God.
And I was like, lemonade. Woo. I was like, I guess I won't be lifting that hand up today. The person will be happy. I'll be right-handed only. Just,
oh my goodness. And you laugh about it. That's what's beautiful, Holly, is that you laugh in the moment. You're like, this is what it is. And I'm just going to roll with it.
Look, my life is like that. I think like on my wedding day, we had a very small wedding, 50 people. My grandmother was there. And she was, I think, 92 at the time. And so we're Jewish. And so there's a ketubah, it's a wedding contract. And it was very meaningful, sentimental for me to have my grandmother sign it. It was very meaningful. So we're sitting there with the rabbi and where's Grandma Jean? Oh yeah, no one brought her. They left her at the hotel.
Oh no.
How do you leave the woman? And she was in a red pantsuit. Like, I don't know how you leave Grandma Jean, whatever. So yeah, my wedding dress, super simple. Like, I am a big personality, but I like, that is super classic. I was like, it had no beads, nothing. It just had the most perfect bustle until the very first step into the wedding hall when my husband stepped on my dress and ripped it. So like, you know what I'm saying? It's just like, something's going to happen.
Oh
at that point, you got to roll.
Sounds like a cartoon.
This is like one of those, you're just like, next, whatever.
Is it kind of like Pigpen with the cloud going?
No, like, like best laid plans. I have a saying about myself. Like before I was born, I was like, all right, God, what do I want? I want some of that in my life. Give me, yeah, fire, earthquake. Yeah, I could take that. Ooh, yes, that hurt person. Bring them. I want to. Oh yeah, that's pretty devastating. I want some of that in this life. You just pile that shit up. But here's the deal, God. When I die, I remember everything I chose because I'm going to be bitter when I'm down there.
Nice. Well, a mantra that I live by is the older you get, the more like yourself you become. So I think it's true that it's this more so, right? And I think the pandemic brings that out in people too. It's that more so, but I love your sense of humor with it all.
You have to. Sarcasm runs deep, but like, I think for me, that's just how I cope, right? Like you can be upset and then, you gotta just let it go.
Then you say,
and then you sing the song.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cancer rising. So naturally you're going to make a joke out of it anyway, because it'll get you emotional. Cancers are very gregarious and they'll find that thing in stuff to make them laugh inside. And I think you figured out
they feel everything so much, Adrian. They feel all that Pisces moon. Come on, I'm an Aquarian. I should be a little more lighthearted.
I wanted you to feel they're like, she's an Aquarius, she's gonna die, Mr. Spocket. They're like, no, she will not. She will have a Pisces moon and a Cancer rising. She'll feel all of the emotions.
Yeah, exactly. So
I think that probably is why you can touch, because I feel like you touched me already.
Yeah,
that's probably part of it, because don't forget Aquarius is other people. So you're a master of other people and probably their emotions.
Ooh, I've never, that is something I've never considered. I like to help heal them now, but I don't know about master. That's power. That's a power. I'm going to
It
think about
is.
that. I'm going to replay this part right now and be like, what do I think of that?
There are some of us who, I mean, they try as hard as they might. They can't pick up on other people's emotions. They try, but they can't. It's like it's blocked somehow. But then for some people, it's just an
Intuitive.
Just a natural thing for you.
Well, and I think it's interesting. I always can walk into a room and know the energy of the room, like whatever meeting. And I think that all three of us probably have that in common. And I think that's a superpower. And my son, who's very old soul, you know, he said one time when we were driving to school, he says, Mom, being intuitive truly is a superpower. Isn't it cool that we know we are emotional, but we can tune into everybody's emotions around us and help them in a very meaningful way? And I'm like, yes. And so it's a beautiful thing that all three of us can share and maybe help people have that emotional intelligence, because you're right, there are some blocks within people where if I show that, it's going back to the shame and vulnerability, that looks weak, but really people are craving to see you push through that and you are on the other side, because it makes you human.
I love it. Well, you guys, I would want to talk to you guys all day, but I actually do have to take a break because I got more people coming. So before I go, I'm just going to ask both of you that if there is one thing you like to end with, just to leave the room with ever fragrance, we're going to go ahead and have you guys do that. And we'll start with Tina, since her name starts with a B.
Tina, you can call me Tina Bobina. I love it. Yes, Tina B, LLC. Wow, we've hit on a lot of beautiful topics all today. I mean, I loved how organic this conversation was, and I use organic intentionally. I live on a farm, but also it was so natural and flow and creative and beautiful. I would say that all communication is persuasive. Your audience can choose to tune you out or choose to listen. And at the core, we are all storytellers. And I think what we get tripped out is when we hear the word storyteller, we think, well, I need to be on stage, I need to be paid to be doing this, but we're all naturally born orators of our own lives. And so finding that within and being able to share that will be able to transport our heads into our hearts and other people's hearts and be able to be co-creators of communication. Because if it's not for the other, then there's no form of communication happening, for there's constant sending and receiving of messages, and you can't not communicate. And so part of what I do and care about is helping others acknowledge the communicator within, and that they are all communicators, all beautiful souls that have a way of sharing their ideas and figuring that out, how they do that with words and how they do that with their bodies and their voices, that is meaningful and that ties into their ultimate goal, whatever that may be, whether at the boardroom, in a communication space that's large or small. And so it's be you and be true. Like my Thelma Justice piano teacher says, don't be sharp, don't be flat, always be natural.
Oh, I love it.
She's beautiful. Got that down.
Tina, lovely.
Okay, so my message is this. It's never too late to change your mind. If something's not working for you, make another choice. Ask for help. You deserve it and you're worth it.
That's beautiful.
Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. You guys, my heart is so full. I feel like we definitely were meant to be here together today.
Yes.
And I'm going to make sure, thank you guys for putting your links here. And I'm going to put those up on the YouTube channel. And then once I download this, I will blast this out to all the multiple places. I promise to blast it out too. But it's been my pleasure so much getting to know you guys. I feel like I met two sisters.
You're amazing.
Thanks.
Keep going. Keep going.
Yes.
Love,
and peace. It's wonderful to meet you both, Adrienne and Holly. Such lovely souls.
Awesome.
Let's go on some happy music. Let's go on some good music. Blessings to you guys.
Bye-bye.